The car slowly entered the already familiar courtyard, and I looked around with interest, noting that I'd made a good choice in location. Quiet neighborhood, low, rise buildings everywhere, plenty of greenery, few cars. The taxi driver helped me unload my things from the trunk, and carrying my bags, I headed towards my new home. This apartment was found through an ad. Its owner was an elderly woman who didn't overcharge. On the contrary, she rented it out below market rates. Understandably so. Soviet-style repair job, bus stop quite far away, no other shops except for one small store nearby. But all this suited me just fine. After unpacking everything, I suddenly felt like having something to eat. As I walked back toward the house, I saw something unpleasant in our yard. A homeless man rummaging enthusiastically through trash bins, oblivious to his surroundings. Suddenly, a strange feeling gripped my heart. Why did I feel sorry for him? How had he ended up living such a life? Perhaps relatives threw him out or tricked him into losing his home. For a moment, I wanted to approach him and give him some food, but at the last second, I changed my mind, unsure why. That evening, my friend Anton came by. He'd been wanting to visit me anyway. Now, there was a reason. Looking around my new place, he remarked, "Interesting. How many people have died here?" After pausing briefly, he added jokingly, "It's still okay though. At least it's not expensive, even if there's no fancy renovation." Then he asked, "Do you remember Kirill? You know, the guy who studied parallel to us? I recently talked to him. He moved into a roach-infested dump. It's horrible. He pays as much rent as for a normal apartment." When I asked why he doesn't move, he said, "I live close enough and haven't found any better options yet, or else landlords are too greedy." With a laugh, he concluded, "Anyway, what's your situation here? Your neighbors must be mostly pensioners." "Listen," I began hesitantly, recalling what happened earlier. Today, I saw a hobo digging through garbage in our yard. I almost went up to offer him some groceries, but then got scared and didn't do anything. Anton listened intently before saying something that left me speechless. "Next time, follow him." "What?" He explained carefully, insisting that following the homeless man would help grow his social media presence. Apparently, this guy seriously aspired to become a blogger, spending hours creating content, but failing miserably. No one seemed interested in videos showing him cruising through night streets or eating breakfast. Finally, he'd come up with a brilliant idea, but needed someone local to track the bum's activities daily since he lived far from here himself. "No way am I doing that," I exclaimed firmly. Seeing disappointment flash across Anton's face, I decided to humor him. Reminded about the jacket I'd wanted to buy, but couldn't afford, I agreed to spend some free time shadowing the homeless man, knowing well where to start looking. About a week later, on a warm summer evening, craving tea, I discovered the last tea bag gone. Putting on whatever clothes were handy, I set off for the grocery store. However, that evening, I never reached the shop. Leaving the yard, I spotted the same homeless man whom I was supposed to follow. Remembering my debt, I followed him immediately, phone camera rolling. Initially annoyed by filming myself sneaking after someone, I soon found it entertaining. Few people were out, making stealth difficult. Once we passed residential blocks, I thought I'd blown my cover, but luckily the homeless man either hadn't noticed me or chose to ignore me. Maybe he preferred avoiding unnecessary problems. Contrary to expectations, instead of heading for a heating duct, he confidently strode toward an abandoned building. Unwilling to get too close, I hid behind some bushes near the structure. Through the camera lens, I could see inside. Dim light flickered intermittently, emanating strangely from the floor. Curiosity piqued. I stared harder. Inside stood several individuals with severe physical deformities. They appeared neither young nor old, dressed in filthy rags, their faces dirty and disfigured. Oni squinted cross-eyed, lower jaw protruding forward. Another had only one eye open, possibly missing altogether. A third sported an indescribable mess where his face should have been. Nearby lingered a shabbily dressed woman, her unkempt blonde hair tangled, red-faced, nose broken multiple times, lips chewed raw. Disgust welled within me, but I couldn't tear my gaze away until our eyes met abruptly. She instantly alerted others inside. 10 more figures emerged, similarly squalid and hideous. Frightened, I stopped recording and fled toward town. Back in my apartment, locking every door, I lay awake till dawn, shaken. Worse still, Anton wasn't answering calls or messages. His last online activity was hours ago. Days passed without sleep, anxiety mounting. To calm down, I reassured myself repeatedly. Nothing terrible had actually occurred. Still, tension built within me, muscles tensing involuntarily, nausea rising periodically. Days stretched on endlessly until finally, isolated indoors, I received word from Anton. Laughing uproariously, he thanked me profusely for providing excellent content. Emboldened slightly, I ventured outside days later. Strolling aimlessly through the district, enjoying pleasant weather, I eventually returned home. Absorbed in thoughts, I nearly missed being called by an elderly lady. "Young man, come here." Hesitant, I turned toward her voice. "What's your name?" she demanded sternly. "Nikita," I replied cautiously. "So you've been living here for 2 weeks?" "Yes." "You took Klima's flat, right? And she told you nothing about the Blessed One?" "Who?" "That vagrant who digs through trash cans all day long." Yes, I saw you talking to him." "No, I didn't touch him. You're lying. I've seen your kind before. I've spent my whole life here." Her tones softened suddenly. "You disturbed them. Now they'll drive you out. There were cases here before. Once, a drunk neighbor approached the hobo. Disappeared completely. Another time, teenagers chased him around the yard, shouting and taunting. Also vanished. Their parents lost them forever. So pack up and leave quickly. They already know which apartment is yours." Her words sent chills through me. That very day, I found alternative accommodation, informing the landlord harshly upon departure. Of course, she refused to return my money. On moving into my new place, a bustling high-rise, crowded parking lot, it felt infinitely safer despite these drawbacks. Most importantly, I was safe from those creatures. Due to all these events, I unconsciously returned to my old habit that I'd struggled hard to quit. Cigarettes once again became an integral part of my life. Bitterly regretting this relapse, but unable to do anything about it, one summer morning found me standing on the transitional balcony, smoking a cigarette and gazing absent-mindedly at the courtyard below. Suddenly, among passers-by, dog walkers, and children playing in the playground, there appeared a man dressed in shabby rags. It took only seconds for recognition to dawn. He was my pursuer who tracked me down yet again. In panic, I crouched behind a jacket, hoping not to be noticed. After all, I was only on the second floor. What if he saw me? Downstairs, the intercom buzzed, followed by the opening of the entrance door and footsteps ascending the stairs. The terrifying thought that he might be coming after me drove me frantically into the apartment without looking back. My fingers fumbled with the key over and over as fear made them numb and unresponsive. Finally, after countless attempts, I managed to unlock the door just as I heard noise from outside. Realizing what it meant, a heavy thud indicated someone forcefully opening the staircase door. I leapt inside and locked myself in, desperately trying to convince myself that perhaps it was merely a neighbor or a drunkard needing relief. Those thoughts vanished when I realized his steps had stopped right in front of my door. No other doors opened, no bells rang. On shaky legs, I stood up and approached the peephole. A sharp pain pierced my heart like a needle as hairs rose on the nape of my neck. There he stood, the tramp, glaring menacingly through the hole. Tears welled involuntarily in my eyes as I screamed out, "What do you want from me?" He remained silent for several seconds before replying loudly and clearly, "Don't try hiding." Panic engulfed me completely. Memories of that evening are fragmentary. I recall mixing alcohol with tranquilizers and passing out. Determined not to delay any longer, I rushed straight to the police station early next morning. Amidst the Monday crowd heading to work, I felt safer surrounded by people than wandering alone on empty streets. Despite my hopes for understanding from law enforcement officials, they simply shrugged their shoulders, saying nothing could be done since no crime had been committed. "If he threatened or assaulted you, then we'd have grounds," said one officer. "Brother, there's no evidence of wrongdoing. You can file a report, though I warn you, it won't help." Nonetheless, I filed one anyway, thinking that should something happen later, at least there would be some record. With permission from the landlord, I bought a camera designed to fit directly onto the peephole. Upon installing it, the results were far from reassuring. Several homeless individuals came every night, standing beneath my door for hours on end. One morning, while reviewing footage, I broke down in tears, realizing there seemed no end to this nightmare. Unable to bear the burden alone, I decided Antoha needed to share responsibility since he'd initially started this mess. Calling him in tears, I demanded his immediate presence. Without arguing, he arrived within 20 minutes, asking anxiously, "So, what's going on?" "Just look," I exclaimed, thrusting my phone towards him. Studying the video intently, Antoha finally spoke. "They come here every single night." Recounting our conversation with the elderly woman downstairs, I added, "And she mentioned something strange." Antoha stared pensively upwards for half a minute before declaring, "You know what I think? Maybe it's not so bad after all. First off, how old did you say the lady was?" "I don't know exactly, but she's definitely past 70, I replied. "Have you considered that maybe her mind isn't clear anymore? Dementia or something similar?" "What about these guys showing up here regularly?" asked Antoha, rubbing his forehead contemplatively. "These are homeless people whose lives aren't easy already. Perhaps we can negotiate with them somehow, offer money or something else." I looked at him incredulously, exclaiming, "Absolutely not. Don't even suggest such a thing." Calming himself, Antoha continued, "Look, let's face facts. You're partly responsible for this situation. Just talk casually first, see where things go. Then we'll give them some cash and call it a day." "You really believe everything will resolve itself easily?" I questioned skeptically. "No need to worry excessively. They haven't hurt you despite ample opportunity. Try staying quiet and calm until further notice. I'll handle everything," assured Antoha confidently. That same evening, Antoha informed me of his plan to meet them the following morning. Nervous anticipation kept me awake most of the night, managing only brief moments of sleep. However, Antoha's spirits remained high during his journey toward the homeless encampment. Along the way, he sent photos and messages which calmed me somewhat, giving hope that resolution was near. But suddenly, communication ceased. He stopped responding to texts and calls. No more updates reached me. Left with few options besides returning to the police, I reluctantly did so. Officials advised waiting another day, suggesting he may have lost his phone. Initially, I trusted their judgment until discovering that Antoha hadn't just shared pictures privately with me, but also posted them publicly on his channel. This revelation brought attention from concerned viewers worried about his disappearance. Many speculated that his absence was staged for publicity purposes, expecting him to appear soon claiming kidnapping by homeless people. Eventually, I clarified matters, stating I'd officially reported him missing. The next day, 4 subscribers contacted me, offering assistance and eager to join search efforts independently. Fortunately, I persuaded them otherwise and instead submitted a request to professional rescue teams. Responding promptly, volunteers began combing the area immediately. As part of the effort, I actively participated in searches alongside others. Sadly, despite everyone's best efforts, Antoha remains missing to this day. His final message read, "Don't hide. Its meaning haunts me still. What happened to him remains unknown, leaving us with only speculation and uncertainty. When we approached the homeless shelter, my heart suddenly started pounding as if warning me of impending danger. On one hand, I wanted to stay outside, but on the other, I couldn't forgive myself for not finding Antoha. We found him in that place, and it would have been better if I hadn't seen what was there. Inside the house, no one was present, but there were many disturbing discoveries. For example, we came across a pot containing human skin, along with other body fragments. When the searcher opened the lid, 2 green eyes appeared from beneath the pile of flesh. The head from which these eyeballs had been removed was nowhere to be found. Seeing this gruesome sight made me vomit everything out onto the floor. The searchers immediately gave me water and tissues. Apart from this, nothing else significant was discovered inside the house itself. Now we're going down into the cellar. I'll go first, though I warn you, anything could be down there, so feel free to wait here above ground. Despite the warning, I followed the searcher downstairs, where we found Antoha. However, there was nothing left to do for him now. I don't know or understand why they did such things to him. His eyeballs were bloodied. One eye had a bright red spot, while the pupil of the other seemed deformed and flowing downward, leaving behind a thin straight line. It became clear his eyeballs had been cut open. His mouth was wide open, yet his tongue was missing. A stick protruded through his skull, and part of his cranium was gone. It looked like someone used the stick to stir around his brain matter, similar to mixing soup in a bowl. After witnessing all this, I lost consciousness. Since then, life has changed drastically. I live in a fog, doing everything automatically. During the first week after the incident, food wouldn't pass my throat, causing me to lose several kilograms. Gradually, I'm returning to normalcy, even needing to consult a psychologist. Homeless people stopped hanging around my doorstep since, obviously, even the police can't find them. They arrested one member of their gang, but he didn't say anything before committing suicide in prison. I still wonder how something like this could happen in such a large city, albeit at its edge. Experts determined that Antoha suffered multiple fractures and injuries. Indeed, his eyes were sliced up, and the stick was inserted specifically to churn the contents of his skull. I blame myself for his death, realizing I should have investigated further, but fear got the best of me. Sometimes thoughts come to mind about tracking them down and delivering vigilante justice because these creatures aren't really humans at all.